How to make a short and effective educational video. What are your priorities? What are the steps you will take? Some tools. Your why. You got to start with your why. What's your purpose? Why would somebody come to this video? What would they get out of the experience of your presentation or of the experience that you're creating? Why is the topic important to you? What does it mean to you? Is it important to you personally? Share something about that. It's a quick way to get your enthusiasm and your authenticity into the video, like to really engage people. People want to know who you are. They want to know why it's important to you, and that will hook them. Why is the topic significant to the audience in general? Talk about maybe the field it comes out of. Maybe it's one that you have experience in, or you are somehow an expert in. Talk about the history of the topic, how it's evolved, why your update is something they might not know, even though they think they know the topic. Really try to convince people that there is a really good reason to watch your video, that this is information they didn't know and that they really needed to know and that they're going to benefit from. What does your audience already know is the other question you need to ask yourself at the very beginning, because it's how you're going to prioritize the actual content and what it is you're going to say in the video. You want to think about the fact that some people will have some prior knowledge, others will have absolutely no awareness of a topic at all. So you'll have to make sure to give some background information if you want to pull those people in as well. If you're not targeting them, oh well, the video's not for them, and I think that that's a perfectly fine decision as well. But you do want to have a hook, and the hook is usually something like, did you know? The other thing about most educational videos is that you're targeting adult learners, and you need to have a hook. You need to have a hook for any learner, but for adult learners, it's good to start with a fact. And I would say even, teenage learners as well, like non-child learners, really need to be convinced of the validity of what you're presenting. They want to know, some hard facts to get started, and then break down the facts. Tell the story about the facts, tell the background, the history, unpack what that fact means, and you're going to keep your audience engaged. Have a learning objective, because I'm talking about educational videos, and these educational, if it's an educational video, at least in my opinion, it should have educational and value, and that means people learn something from it. So if you want somebody to learn something from what you're presenting, think about that from the get-go. Think about what it is you want them to do differently, how you want them to think differently. How are they going to demonstrate to you that they learned? So after experiencing your presentation, what will they be able to do differently? How will they think differently about the subject you presented? How will they approach something differently? Will they be more comfortable trying something new that you presented? Will they change how they do something? Like, for example, after you watch this video, will you feel more confident to actually try making your own educational video? That's something I want to know. So there's different ways I can measure that. I can either, if I'm running a huge program and that this video is a part of, I could find out how many of you actually end up making your own videos. If that's not feasible, I can have a quick survey at the end of the video, just asking you, in several different ways, how much more confident, how much more of an intention you have to create an educational video. Or I can ask something about how you might do it differently, have an open-ended question that could even give me more valuable data. But having the learning objective to start out with is really important, because it's also how you're going to organize the content so that you're really getting to the points that matter in terms of like not just all the facts and information, but what people really need to know to that changes them. So visual learners abound, right? Like how many times have you heard someone say, I'm a visual learner? I've heard it so many times. And I have to say I agree. I mean, visuals are engaging and you want to engage your learners. At the same time, it's not so much about learning style, actually. I would say, I mean, you are welcome to explore different learning styles and maybe tweaking your videos for different types of learners. But for the most part, we all learn kind of the same. Especially if you take the prior factors I told you about, which is prior knowledge and whether or not it's an adult learner. Those are really the major factors you absolutely need to account for. Learning styles, actually, that's more of a myth, really. I mean, there's not that much evidence that there's these really distinct learning styles in terms of different senses. I would say use all the senses. Yes, use visuals, have an image to back up the concept. Have text also, though, that people are reading while you're saying the concept. Define any keywords. Make sure, people are following you by defining keywords that you're mentioning clearly. And then there's the mindset that you need to have for teaching. You want to engage the learners and focus on the learning. That is my whole thing. Like, it's learning over content, breaking down content and imbibing content, not just kind of trying to memorize, trying to desperately take notes that you're going to have to then study. People shouldn't have to study your content, okay, to have a really effective educational video. The video itself should make them learn something. Prepare what you want people to learn first. So don't go off and delve into the topic, gathering as much the latest research as possible. I mean, do it if you enjoy that. I mean, I love doing that, but just know you're not going to end up putting a lot of that in the final product, and it can end up kind of wearing you out and taking a lot of time. So get your framework together of what it is you want people to learn first. Then, after you've put together an outline of what you want people to learn, notice what you said in the outline. Did you make a claim? Did you say something, like state something as a matter of fact? You may want to research that and provide the studies that back that up, especially if it's something new and there isn't a lot of evidence and research out there yet. You might want to kind of highlight how that's a new finding. But otherwise, you just want to make sure whatever your claims that you're making are based in evidence and really solid. Maybe you want to cite somebody who's an expert in that. There's lots of different ways you can back up claims. But those are really the only things you need to worry about in terms of research that you might have to do for your presentation. Try to teach what you already know. That's my advice. Highlight one or two facts at the beginning, but don't cram fact after fact after fact, okay? I mean, unless you want it to last for hours, because if you're expecting people to continue paying attention and really learning what you're saying, fact after fact, without context, without discussion, without something to stimulate the brain, I mean, it's very boring. And even if you are, an excellent orator, you're giving these facts and you're breaking them down for people, you're delivering them in a really engaging way, even that, I mean, takes time to do that. And unless you want your video to last for hours and hours, which you may want that, I would really just highlight one or two facts and that's it for the video. And I'd also limit the time of the video to 20 minutes. So what you're going to need, like, here's some practical thoughts, like actual physical reality of creating a video, you actually don't need a camera. Like right now, I'm not using a camera. You do need a good mic. There's nothing worse than a video or a podcast or whatever that you can barely hear because the sound quality is poor. And then all you need is a PowerPoint. I'm using PowerPoint right now, or a similar tool. Canva is supposed to be good. I've not tried that. But you just need a tool that will allow you to record your screen and show your slides, and record your voice as you're going through the slides. And then my final thoughts that I'd like to share is that learning results from interaction and conversation. We are social, our brains are social. Especially in Western cultures, we feel very individualistic, but the reality is we really only survive in groups. And so because of that, our brains reflect that. So really the way that we are transformed is through conversation, through action. Like traditionally, apprenticeship it's a time-worn practice for learning, learning a trade or a craft, because by watching and then trying out and engaging with the master of the craft, having conversations with other students of the craft, that's really how you become a master yourself. Not by studying books, So literacy is really important. Learning how to study is very important, especially for certain fields that require a lot of technical skills, mathematical skills, and there is a place for study as well, but primarily, we're learning through conversation. So think about what it is you'd want to really talk about with someone who's learning this topic. Like if you're passionate about a topic, like say I'm passionate about learning, what would I want them coming in knowing already before we could really dig into specific methods and pedagogies and tools and techniques and specific types of learning activities. I'd want them coming in knowing all this stuff I'm telling you. I'd want them, being pretty much ready to go, like understanding like the difference between adult learning and child learning, and kind of already understanding that certain things are misconceptions or myths, like learning styles, or it's not so much it's a myth, it's kind of an over-exaggerated thing, because I think people have been subjected to so much studying and reading text, and they're like, just give it to me in a visual. Makes complete sense that a lot of people claim to be visual learners. I think probably we all are much more visually learning centered than studying from books and learning in a classroom. Like the real world is the best classroom. And then the other thing about educational videos is a lot of times it is basically a lecture, like what I'm doing now. And there is, I am not a big advocate of lecture as a main form of learning. As I've said, doing is much better, but there is a very important place for it. And so you want it to be good, and the more you practice a lecture, the better it gets. It's like similar to stand-up comedy. You learn every time you deliver it to a live audience, because you see their reactions, you see what lands, what doesn't land. You learn from their questions and feedback, what ways you were saying things where they weren't quite getting it, and like you tweak it and improve it every single time. So I highly recommend practicing your material before you make the video, with friends and family, or you might even, have, I'm part of an awesome group of people that gets together and we just practice our teaching material with each other. It's called Teach Anything. And if you're interested, please let me know, because it's a really, really great way to practice, and I think you should try it before you make your video. So that wraps up my video about how to make an educational video, but I have an addendum, which is for people who are members of CityDAO. And actually Teach Anything is a part of the CityDAO community. For those of you who don't know, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. I mean, that's what the acronym is. It's basically like you use an NFT or token to create a collective, like to create a group of people all interested in the same thing, or like harness them toward a mission. Like, maybe it's a research mission, maybe it's, like CityDAO is all about, the power of the blockchain for purchasing land, and, talking about how we might really improve our lives by using Web 3.0 tools, and property rights, and democratizing our processes, so that we can really engage with these old questions of like the commons. So anyway, I'm going on a tangent there. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that right now there's a bounty for people who want to create educational videos about their experience with CityDAO, or if they want to teach like a really critical topic for Web 3.0 or DAOs. We just ask that you make it specifically relevant to CityDAO and its mission. But we're offering $150 per video for members of CityDAO to create these videos. They should follow the advice in this presentation and be a maximum of 20 minutes long. And we require a learning objective. And we're looking for content that's like, how does a bounty work? How to make a token? Just kind of basics. You could even talk about like pitfalls of joining a DAO, like stuff you learned that you wish you would have known before you joined CityDAO, like to kind of, mentor people who might be thinking of joining and help make their process better. You might want to talk about why communication skills are really important for DAOs and Web 3.0. And I put a link here to a video where I go into more detail about more depth about what we're really looking for. Also, check out forum.citydao.io and CityDAO 360. There's a proposal there, and there's more information about the bounty. So the videos are going to be a part of a really exciting immersion program called CityDAO 360. It's a Web 3.0 immersion for young people who want to get awesome entrepreneurial skills, leadership skills, all in the Web 3.0 environment. And it really will show you how to be successful in a DAO and how to operate successfully in all Web 3.0 environments, which are, that's where the economy is growing, is, through technology mainly. So it's really important for young people to get those skills. And I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity as well for really like literacy, leadership, all the skills that companies and DAOs are looking for. They want self-starters, they want leaders, they want problem solvers, because all of our organizations have to be really agile from now on to be able to adapt to all the changes in the markets and the disruptions that are just now more than ever a norm, and will only get more so. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'll put some contact information with this video, but otherwise you can get in contact with me through CityDAO. I'm Melinda I don't remember my handle on Discord, but I will put some contact information with this video. Thanks so much.